KJ Bolden, the 5-star plus safety out of Georgia, committed to Florida State on Saturday night. And Florida State fans are hyped. Deservedly so. You just got the #1 safety in America. So he's going to have an impact on Florida State when he does get there. We'll talk about that here in a second. But what's the impact, broad strokes as well, for Florida State as a program? Well, I think to start, you look at Florida State. This to me, and I said it on my Twitter feed at JD Piquel, when he did commit, I was like, this is a sign of the times at Florida State right now. Because Mike Norvell has pushed Florida State back to prominence. It wasn't always this way at Florida State. I mean, it has historically been this way. But remember Travis Hunter, when he flipped on signing day, and given KJ Bolden still has to put pen to paper, but you probably feel pretty good about his commitment sticking because of what they're doing on the field right now. Won 10 games a season ago. You just re-signed Mike Norvell, or extended Mike Norvell rather, to a longer contract. There is a vision in place here at Florida State that is very, very clear for kids that do commit to the school. I mean, case in point right now, they've got a top 5 class in the On3 industry team recruiting rankings at the time of us recording this. Like, Florida State at this point in time is in a place they haven't been in the Mike Norvell era. He's pushed them back to relevance, back to prominence. You don't land KJ Bolden with 7 wins and a ticket to the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Like, that doesn't land the top safety in America. They have now revitalized this brand, pumped some life back into it from what they've done on the field, and it's paying dividends on the recruiting trail. A ton of credit should be given to Mike Norvell for the trajectory he has Florida State on right now. Really quickly, make sure you're subscribed right here, because we talk college football every single day. We are 19 days away from week 0 of the college football season. If you've been locked in here for any length of time, you know college football Saturday morning, we're going to Chick-fil-A. We're getting locked in for college football. We want you locked in as well right here on this channel. All right, so we appreciate you in advance for being locked in with us. So on the field, like I mentioned at the top of this video, he's going to have an impact. And I think in the short term, to keep it a buck, it's going to be very difficult for him to not see the field as a freshman. Now, what does that look like? Is it playing punt team? Is it running down on kickoff? Is it playing on defense? I don't know. It's a little bit difficult to speak with certainty about where the roster is going to be, because the portal exists and who leaves, who comes in, all that. Like, just a lot of unknowns. I'm not implying anything. I'm just saying there's a lot of unknowns. But with KJ Bolden and his ability with his 10.7 100-meter speed, he's got good ball skills. Like, the dude is a football player. The word that comes to mind when you watch KJ Bolden on tape, playmaker. Playmakers make plays regardless of where they're at and where they're lined up on the football field. So I'm just telling you, whether he starts on defense as a freshman or not, I'm not concerned about that, because KJ Bolden's impact will be felt in one way or another when he gets to Tallahassee. But long-term, I think, is where we really got to look at with what he's going to bring to the table at Florida State. Think about how the offenses are evolving right now. More specifically, think about how these playmakers are evolving on the on the offensive side of the ball. You have these freakish tight ends, these freakish wide receivers that are like 6'3", 6'4". They run like a deer. Like, these ridiculous chess pieces these offensives have now are starting to become an issue for defenses. So what has to happen now? The defense has to evolve with them. And I think KJ Bolden, long-term at Florida State, is your answer for those freakish kind of offensive weapons that offenses are going to try and present to you as a Florida State defense. Because I just mentioned his speed, 10.7 in the 100-meter. That's really fast. He's also got good size. 6 foot, about 32-inch arms. Like, he's got good range, good length. I already told you he's got good ball skills. Flip on the tape. Tape don't lie. He's a guy that can contribute for you in a number of areas, not just in the pass defense, but also he's not afraid to stick his nose in there. I mean, you flip on the tape, he does a great job filling in the flats and just running up and hitting dudes, quite frankly. So for KJ Bolden, there's a reason why Charles Power, director of scouting and rankings for On3, has him as the #1 safety in America. There's a reason why he makes the noise that he does at the high school level, at a really good high school in Buford in Georgia. Like, what he means to Florida State long-term, I think, is going to be just what I said. He is the answer to the mismatches that offenses are trying to create from a personnel standpoint. And so let's take even a step back with where Florida State is headed. To me, it really feels like with the commitment of KJ Bolden, it can't help but feel like Florida State is continuing to push back to the old Florida State. And you know what I'm talking about. Those old Florida State teams that competed for national titles and are competing for ACC titles, they play great defense, and they're really well coached, and they recruit really well. I told you, time of us recording this, top 5 class right now in 2024 for Florida State. Just landed the number 1 safety. Mike Norvell, I love the way he's got this operation headed. There's a certain swag about him. Talk to people close to fall camp right now. There's a certain professionalism about that operation in Tallahassee. And I think even more importantly, as it pertains to KJ Bolden, Florida State, when those Seminole teams are really humming, they've got great DB play. I mean, just go down the list, all the great defensive backs that have played at Florida State. I'm going to miss a couple of them, but I mean, Deion Sanders comes to mind. Antonio Cromartie comes to mind. Derwin James, Jalen Ramsey. Like, you can go down the list here and name a bunch of big-time defensive backs that have contributed at Florida State. The history is very much so there. KJ Bolden committing to Florida State feels like they may have just gotten the next great one in the secondary for them, which is a lot of pressure to put on a kid who hasn't even played a senior year of high school yet. But I'm telling you, that is the kind of ability that he has, and that is the kind of trajectory that I think Florida State is on. So, again, KJ Bolden, 5-star plus safety, locked in with Florida State. Big-time commit for them. Really, really feels like this is a sign of the times at Florida State and where Mike Norvell has this operation headed. That's all I'll say about that. We're live tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern, right back here on the On3 YouTube channel. The Hard Count is live twice a week right now. Going to be multiple times a week, even another show during the week going forward. Appreciate you subscribing. Appreciate you locking in with us. We're going to keep this party rolling, and we will see y'all next time. Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.